Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. Happy Thursday Day to you. I hope everything's going well for your day today, sir.
It's going very well. Hey, I love what's happening in Washington. I mean, who would have thought that Judge Boasberg would pick up another Trump case like out of the clear blue sky by sheer luck? I mean, that wasn't picked. No, that was a coincidence.
Yeah, it was a random drawing. They threw all the judges' names into a pot. They spun it around, and they just happened to pick his name.
It's amazing. This guy's got the luck. You wouldn't believe his luck.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. He is going to be, I guess, the judge on a lawsuit, an anti-Trump lawsuit that was filed because of the signal, that little signal snafu. Well, everybody that I've heard talk who has some legal experiences says there's no here, or there's no there, whatever. It's not, it hasn't got any substance, this case. But they file it anyway because they gotta, it's not the result of the case that they're concerned with.
It's the stain.
It's the stain. You got that right. Just do what you can to
muddy the waters.
Well, I like how you fill in the gaps. Say absolutely to muddy the waters. This guy Boasberg, obviously an activist judge. They're talking, by the way, some people in Congress, they're talking about having him fired or impeached. My suggestion to them is get off your gluteus maximus and do something. Don't talk about it. Do something. But Congress is too busy just moving their lips.
Yeah. Well, I understand the guy, and I don't have the story in front of me, but I'll just, say it lightly. The guy from The Atlantic.
Right.
And I had his name.
Jeffrey Goldberg.
That's it. Well, it turns out he actually, stating everything, got caught in his own lie.
Oh, yeah, he just embellished it a bit, Bill. A
little bit?
Yeah, just
he blew the whole thing out of the water.
Well,
it was all made up.
Everything's, it's how you look at it, And obviously he's a Trump hater. They say he's the biggest anti-Trump reporter in D.C. First of all, you can't be a reporter and have a bias. You are not reporting if you're injecting your bias into a story. I'm sorry. You're a propagandist. And that's what this guy Goldberg is. And he's really enjoying his 15 seconds. He's going on talk shows and television. He's become important because he did the slimiest of the slimiest thing. He found, even if he did it by accident, right? Let's say by accident he was invited to this private conversation. As soon as he was there and realized who's on the line, and realized it was supposed to be a secure meeting.
Yeah.
As a good reporter, what he should have done is, sorry, here by accident, I'm stepping away. But this clown, Goldberg, figured it was an opportunity. This is if you believe the story is being truthful. I believe that it was a planned attack. Somebody inserted him in there intentionally.
Yeah. And apparently he didn't get any classified information. And just for the record, what supposedly he knew about before it happened, that little crybaby would have blurted it all over if he really had stuff. But he didn't because he didn't have it. And everything went off successfully.
Yes, exactly.
And that app, by the way, they're going after the app, and the lady that's the head of that company is sitting there going, it's Gold Star Security on that. But, Democrats, I'll remind you, that was around for the Biden administration. Yes, it was used by the Democrats as well. And so, they handed these devices over to the Republicans. We talked about this yesterday. So you're telling me that they didn't have some little, because everything that I've seen since Trump took the office is little, okay, we're going to put a gotcha there. We're going to put something here. All of these things are little incendiary bombs that have been planted by the left to go off and try to trip up and taint the waters.
What gets me is that, and kind of bear with me today, my allergies are bothering me, so I apologize. But I figured that we're all going through this right now. So, but what gets me about this whole thing is that the president came out and said, "There's nothing to see here. There's no action going to be taken against any of my personnel. They did nothing wrong. We're going to look into the app and see whether the app is effective or defective, and we're moving on." But the Democrats in Congress, that's not good enough for them. The fact that it was, like you said, a successful operation, that's not important to them. What's important to them is that they keep stirring up the crap, pardon my French. They keep making it an issue. They're trying desperately to make another Watergate situation. Oh, my goodness. Can you believe this? We put our personnel in danger. No, that didn't happen. Nobody was in danger. There was no specifics in the conversation. They didn't talk about what time the bombs will drop and where and why and who will be flying them and what will be the follow-up. I mean, there were some generalities in there, but there was nothing that was of any substance. Nobody leaked any confidential security stuff. But they want you, the public, who, by the way, they're counting on you are not looking at the actual page grabs. You know, they expect that the public is dumb and the public is not going to really look into this. So if we tell them there was a breach and we keep saying it over and over again, it's like that Joseph Goebbels, what did he say? You keep telling a lie over and over again, and soon it becomes the truth.
That's right.
And that's how our media and the Democrats are approaching this.
They're selling the lie.
Exactly. You keep telling everybody that it's a breach. You keep telling everybody that the administration isn't taking it seriously. And after a while, the people, the people who aren't really paying attention, and there's a lot out there, they're more interested in their sports.
Most people are that way, and conservatives, you are that way all the time. You know, now you'll listen to Jim and Bill, and we'll tell you, hey, here's the real story. That's good enough for you, but that's not good enough because, Democrats do the same thing. They go to their sources, and there's no gravitas at all in what they say, but, they have a lot of this icing on the cake, but there's no cake, and they just throw it out there, and they take these negative memes out there, or now there's a meme out there with a picture of Kamala at the microphone. Are you better off? Are you better off now than you were a year ago? So who really lost? It's you because you voted for Trump. And I'm like going, wait a minute. This.
I'm sorry, Bill. Every time I see her picture, I bless myself and thank God.
Yeah, the problems that we're going through was from the recipe of what she and Biden had been cooking up for 4 years. And it's going to be a while before we get the stench out of the kitchen and the taste out of our mouths from what they have done.
Did you ever see that lady do one coherent speech? Did you ever hear her give one inspiring, coherent speech that wasn't a word salad?
Well, Jim,
can you imagine can you imagine her trying to put together peace deals with the Ukraine and Russia?
Jim, you're asking me what is in the present tense and to look back at what was in the past tense and then, through the course of time, put it all together to the reality of what is from what was
Bill,
now.
You're starting to sound like Kamala. You know that.
I know.
You're starting to sound like you've been going to the Kamala School of Speech.
Well, you know what? Actually, you don't have to. You can go to the liquor store, get a bottle of booze, and
20 minutes later, you're a master.
Pick it up in no time. Yeah, you're a master.
Yeah, jeez. Well, I think we dodged a bullet with. Come on, the big story yesterday that people aren't talking about is what President Trump did with tariffs.
Cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff. We started off with a 2.5% base, which is what we were at, and we go to 25%. And basically, as you know, and as you've been saying, not reporting as accurately as it should be reported because it's a massive story. Business is coming back to the United States so that they don't have to pay tariffs. And I think also because of November 5th, the election, they're very happy. AI is coming back to levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's a sort of a new business, I guess, when you think about it. But it's plants are going up all over the United States, and many of them have already been started. We're getting early electricity taken care of. We're getting permits very quickly for them, and we're going to make their life very happy. They're coming in with tens of billions of dollars. Individual plants will cost 10, 15, even $20 billion. We're going to let them build electricity generating plants along with their plant, and they can't even believe it. And we're going to get them very quick permits, as I've done always. I did that in Louisiana with 2 LNG plants. I got them one permit in one day after waiting 14 years, and the other one in 1 week after waiting for 12 years. But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants. They were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country.
That's amazing. Think about what he's doing. He's really rebuilding the auto industry in this country. People may say, well, it's going to make it harder to buy a Mercedes. It'll cost 25% more, or a Volvo. Well, it won't be that bad if those companies build a plant over here. See, if they build a plant over here and they can put on their label on the car, "Made in America," they bypass a 25% tariff. Even foreign companies. Look at what Hyundai's doing. They're building a big steel plant, massive steel plant, and it's down in Louisiana, I believe. And they're going to be creating their own steel and aluminum for their cars, which I think is pretty amazing. So,
yeah, it is. And he talked about AI being a big thing, and apparently, I'm trying to find the story here. I had it earlier, but Bill Gates, of course, has got to get in on it and saying, hey, AI is going to be so great, taking over everything. It's going to be your doctors. It's going to be this and that. The only thing that scares me is that Bill Gates is sticking his,
the man who
hand in
wants
the
to
pond.
cut our population down to 550 million globally. Think about that.
Yeah, if it's an AI doctor sponsored by Bill Gates, I wouldn't go in for a diagnosis from that particular computer.
Yeah, they do have, by the way, I guess they have surgical equipment now that can actually, that is run by AI and can perform the actual surgery. You were talking about LASIK surgery with the eye?
That was yesterday in a private conversation. Yeah,
Right.
This has been around for a while, really, because robotics or anything that they do with AI or robotics that we're all amazed with,
Right.
it starts out a baby. It doesn't know how to walk. It doesn't know how to talk. And they got to train it every little nuance move by nuance move until it gets to where it is. But then it's like muscle memory because it is a computer program that's just repetition for the robot. Same with LASIK surgery. The doctor comes in, they do an eye exam, they measure everything. I've never had it done, but they sit there and they measure something with your eye. And then it's all programmed into the computer. And then, you lay down and you're sitting there going, when's this going to start? Oh, we're done. And that's it. And then, whatever, some drops and maybe some glasses for a day. And all of a sudden you're going, next day, damn, I don't need glasses anymore.
My late mother had LASIK surgery maybe, now, about 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was computerized then. And she was 91 when she had it done. She said, I can see like a teenager again, which I thought was pretty amazing. And that was 14 years ago, folks. What they can do today, mind-boggling. I went to the eye doctors recently, Bill. They do an imaging of your eyeball, that is like something from Star Trek now. It's colorized, and they can see all the fluids, and they can see whatever particles in your eye. If you have floaters, they can see the retina. They can see all the nerves. It's really amazing. Nothing is left to chance anymore, thanks to technology. And I do think that there's some amazing things that AI is going to do. If you ever watch Chicago Med last season, they had a thread, a few episodes where they talked about a new surgical room that they had put together that was all computerized. That the surgeries were either done by the computer or they were assisted by the computer. The computer kind of looked over the shoulder of the surgeon and would tell him whether he's doing the right thing or wrong thing. And usually, 99% of the time, at least on this show, the AI was right. Which is pretty amazing. But I keep thinking, what if I know enough about computers to know? Let's say you're on the surgical table and you're opened up, and it has a glitch. The computer has a glitch, and it's working on your liver, and all of a sudden, suddenly, it's working on your heart. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know whether I trust computers to be my surgeon just yet.
Well, because there's human input, which could be somebody not paying attention, somebody not knowing what they're doing, or, somebody with something nefarious in mind. I would imagine that if you got a computer that's, it does its own diagnostic and it's 100% correct, then it can sit there and diagnose and do everything without human intervention. If it's been trained and it's done it successfully, then it's muscle memory for it. It's a program, and I would trust it more than a human, because I know about a doctor's misguidedness, because it happened to me. I'm coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that, and it wasn't a good day for old Billy Boy, 10 years ago. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. But for the grace of God, I'm here now.
Yes, but for a while there, it was touch and go.
Well, it wasn't touch and go.
It was gone.
Go. It was gone. Yeah, And when they got me back, they were going, okay, button him up, get him out of here, put him on a...
Is he breathing again? Good, get him out of here.
Get him on a life flight, because if he dies up there again,
it's not
our fault. It's the pilot's fault.
Oh my gosh, we laugh now, but this program, Jim and Bill, it's another day. It would have been Jim and no Bill. If things went south. Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't have even known each other 10 years ago. We worked in a lot of the same places at the same time, but we didn't. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, we missed each other. We were
life
a block
is
apart.
strange.
Yeah.
You see where President Trump is talking about eliminating sanctuary cities altogether with an executive order, which I think is interesting.
What judge is going to chime in today?
Well, what judge is going to... He hasn't done it. He hasn't done it yet. You're making it sound like the judges are going to sign. Now they're getting so good at chiming in. They chime in before he issues the executive order.
Well, no, he announced he's going to do an executive order. The Democrats aren't going to want that, because they want these sanctuary cities. Why? Well, you'd have to ask them, and they'll come up with some BS, to throw out there for you. But the simple fact is, they want this chaos. They want to dilute America. They want to dumb us down. They want us to go, to HELL in a handbasket.
Yeah.
So they're doing everything they can. So, if he signs the executive order, I'll be damned if, probably within a half hour, a judge will come in and say, well, I'm reversing that order because of my power, because I have a black robe. Well, you know what? I can go online and have me a black robe tomorrow and can I sit there and supersede all these judges?
You ask all the tough questions.
I know, I really do.
Anyway, you see where the other the Democrats haven't got a lot of leaders to point to anymore. There was a time when the leader of the Democratic Party was like Chuck Schumer. He was a leader. Whether you like him or not, he was the guy who was always stepping out and speaking for the party. Well, Chuck's now on the naughty list because he approved of the interim budget, which the Democrats didn't want. The Democrats wanted to have no budget and have the government kind of collapse. That's what they wanted, the young stallions. Well, now they're looking to people like Jasmine Crockett. Ah, yes. A lady of great talents and skills. By the way, don't think for 1 second she's from the hood. She comes from a upper middle class background, went to good schools, and technically she should be able to string words together without sounding like she's getting ready to call the boys in, if you know what I mean. but she's gotten a good banter down, and she feels comfortable using it. Yesterday she called the Governor Abbott of Texas, Governor Hot Wheels, and that was because the governor is in a wheelchair. He's been in a wheelchair for years, since he was 26. He had a tree
special place in hell for people to do stuff like that.
He had a tree fall on him, and when they asked her, would she apologize, she said no. I was talking about something else. No, you were talking about exactly what we think you were talking about, and you knew it. You just got caught.
Like when she was on MSNBC, she's going like, I've never said to incite or to go out and do violence. Yet
she's
later on,
later
on, she's talking about Ted Cruz going, he needs a smackdown. You got to beat him down.
Beat him over the head. Hit him on the head. Yes.
Okay.
Miss Jasmine, you explain to me how that's not violent talk.
Well, she is somebody who thinks that her banter is going to make her sound like she's tough. What she sounds like is she doesn't belong in Congress. And I would submit that if she keeps doing what she's doing, she's going to be one of the first to be removed from her position in the not-too-distant future. Here's her yesterday at a hearing. Even in the hearing, when she's trying to sound a little more respectable, she has a hard time suppressing her inner Jasmine.
Behavior, yet here we are. The Republicans have actually organized this goofy hearing to try to convince the American people that PBS and NPR are, quote, domestic terrorists or domestic threats. My apologies. Not the incompetent, unqualified Secretary of Defense who's texting war plans to journalists. But it's y'all, PBS and NPR, the American people are supposed to be worried about. You can't make this up. It's as stupid as it sounds. The American people should be worried about the president threatening to investigate NBC for treason for reporting on his felony convictions, or arresting reporters and stripping networks of their licenses for not saying nice things about him or not using Gulf of America. The Republicans' witness, Mr. Gonzalez, went so far as to suggest that because NPR and PBS reported on the murder of George Floyd, they, quote, represent a danger to our physical health as well as to civic health of our body politics. Ms. Mayor, do you think reporting on the murder of George Floyd and highlighting instances of systemic racism is a domestic threat to America?
Thank you, Congresswoman. I believe it's our responsibility to report on all issues of interest to the American public.
Thank you so much. Ms. Kerger, what about you?
I agree. I think it's important for us to report on the important news of the day.
So let's talk about the critical role of public media. During his first term, President Trump's own Department of Homeland Security highlighted the importance of public broadcasting's role in public safety. In 2018, his administration stated, quote, PBS and local public television stations play a crucial role in protecting communities by delivering essential information to individuals and first responders. These benefits are all made possible by public broadcasting stations' unique reach, reliability, and role across America, and are especially vital in rural and underserved areas. Madam Chairwoman, I would ask unanimous consent. I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the 2018
without objection, so ordered.
And Madam Chair, I also seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the 2019 report titled Modernizing the Nation's Public Alert and Warning System from Trump's...
Without objection, so ordered.
In the report, FEMA encouraged, quote, the use of public broadcast capabilities to expand alert, warning, and communication capabilities to fill gaps in rural and underserved areas. Mr. Ullman, what's a more significant domestic threat, reporting the murder of George Floyd or dismantling most of America's emergency communication systems?
Can you please repeat the question for me, Congresswoman?
Which one is more of a threat, reporting the murder of George Floyd or dismantling most of America's emergency communication systems?
Dismantling the emergency systems.
And isn't it true that in Barrow, Alaska, is the only... I'm sorry. And isn't it true that KBRA RWAM in Barrow, Alaska, is the only broadcast service available in an area of more than 90,000 square miles.
That is correct. It's also the North Slope, where the majority of all the oil production that comes from Alaska takes place.
Thank you so much. And isn't it true that without these stations' broadcasts, Americans in rural communities would lack access to life-saving information and public safety alerts?
That is correct.
So in your opinion, would eliminating funding for stations in rural America like WNGH, Channel 18, and the Chairwoman's District hurt Americans?
It would hurt Americans, yes.
In fact, Georgia Public Broadcasting serves as the official distributor of evacuation route information during state-ordered evacuations, and the chairwoman is here advocating to strip their funding. Look, the DOGE agenda isn't about government efficiency. It's about breeding corruption at the expense of the safety of the American people, particularly Americans living in rural or remote parts of the country. They don't care about public safety. They don't care about emergency management, and they don't care about free speech, all of which are harming American people. In fact, I'm going to skip off real quick because they have tried to come for you, Miss Mayor. And I just want to clarify, you did not work for NPR when those statements were made, did you?
That is correct, Madam
And to be clear, free speech is not about whatever it is that y'all want somebody to say. And the idea that you want to shut down everybody that is not Fox News is bullshit. We need to stop playing because that's what y'all are doing in here. You don't want to hear the opinions of anybody else, and the Constitution says.
All right. Enough. She couldn't stay on the script. She had to slip into her persona, which is crude, and that's what she does a lot, by the way. The other thing, if you saw the video of her doing this, it was apparent that she didn't write the script. She didn't write the questions. That's why she kept stumbling all the time, because to her,
it's a staged
thing.
Yeah,
and to her, a lot of the things she was saying was a first-time read. When she got to the call letters of the station, she didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah. Number one, I would like to apologize for us letting you hear the wind howl and the vacancy void of her head, because she's what? I want to be nice to her, but there's nothing up there. It's just the wind, swirling around upstairs. Yeah, and her sit there and attack on an AM station. Let me tell you something about EBS and how it works. I don't care if the station is a daytime station or not. In EBS, they are granted full power 24 hours a day to, throttle it up in an emergency situation. That's how it works. Forget about any protections that it has. It can go full bore, as to the limits of what it can. 90 square miles, that's kind of a mathematical term. When you really look at the distance from A to B, that station covers it. Now, going to the PBS thing, they're one of the. I have never heard.
Yeah, I know where you're going
in my
with this.
lifetime.
I know where you're going.
I've never heard in my lifetime a PBS station sit there and, we interrupt this paid for programming sponsored by the Shell Oil Company. Your donations today are kindly accepted to bring you this emergency message. So we will now just go to emergency broadcast. You could be you could live in the range of a dam that is cracked and it's spilling water and disaster is imminent for you. No, you're going to get to hear the paid for broadcast of the mating rituals of rabbits.
Well, not only that, but they carry most of the network stuff from NPR.
Yeah.
Which is based in Washington. I mean, the people think, oh, my God, I'm listening to the NPR station in Nome, Alaska. Well, yeah, you're listening to them repeat the programming from D.C. Unbelievable. Their morning show has 28 people working on it?
I was working on a website thing up in for the Northeast, in one particular PBS station in Boston. They have this morning guy that they tout. And I'm going, oh, this guy must be something there. Oh, he does a 20-minute morning show? And he's got over 78 people paid on his staff that you, my friend, in Fresno, California, paid for up in Boston.
Yeah.
I'm like going, how does that work?
The NPR morning show, the one that they distribute nationally,
all over the place,
28 people. Now, if you are like Howard Stern, I don't listen to Howard. I think Howard has his faults, but a lot of people do. And he probably has maybe, 5 or 6 people working on his show?
He's got a computer, a printer, and his brain going, okay, I want to do this. He's probably got AI now going, hey, here's a thought. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Howard, you could do this. And here's some thoughts for you, Howard. What do you think? Oh, well, that sounds good. Computer, could you do this? Yes, I can. And there it is.
Let's say I was wrong. Let's say he has 10 people working on his staff.
I doubt that.
I doubt it too, but I mean, he has millions of people listening to his satellite morning show. You take your favorite morning show in your market, right? The one that you listen to all the time, other than us, and they will have a staff of just a handful of people. That's how it works. NPR, because they have the unlimited resources financially, they have 20. Do you know they have a private chef who makes the food for them in the morning? A private chef comes in. How would you like your scrambled
Howard
eggs?
has that?
No. NPR.
He's going, I want that.
How would you like your breakfast, sir? I know you're going to be on all morning long. Would you like scrambled eggs or would you like sunny side up? I mean,
I've never had, I've had carte blanche in radio, but that wasn't a part of it.
When I did mornings, you know what we had? We had you got donuts.
Snack machine.
We had donuts. We sent somebody out for a donut run, and the coffee we had was in a coffee pot that sat all morning. And if you were lucky, somebody changed it. Otherwise, it would burn on the bottom.
I used to drink from the radio station coffee pots. Quick story. I used to always say I did the mornings, and I would sit there and I would get a cup of coffee. And we had this new sales manager that came in, and one day I happened to walk by the break room because I was going somewhere else, and all of a sudden I see him there with his cup of coffee, and he grabs the coffee pot and he pours his coffee into the pot of coffee and then swirls it around. Yeah, and then pour it back in his cup and then set the pot down. I'm going like, I never drank coffee again at that radio station.
I don't
It's good. No!
That would do it for me too, trust me. Yeah, oh, absolutely. Hey, you know what this is? Listen. Your mind is so I can see you going, why is he playing Machine Gun? I'll play it again, just one more time. That may be the first time in our history that
I was thinking that was a Democrat at a Republican rally.
No, that's true. That's not the sound of Butler, PA, but close. No. But that is the first time in history that the Vice President of the United States is firing a machine gun. You're saying, what? Yeah, J.D. Vance was out in Quantico at the Marine base at Quantico yesterday, and he was a Marine. And, you're never a former Marine, you're always a Marine.
Once, yeah.
And he was out firing his machine gun, and it was really interesting. He's the vice president, second in command of these United States. But when he was out there firing that weapon, he was like one of the guys. It was fun to watch. They were having a good time together, and he went into the cafeteria, had lunch with some Marines. It was neat. You didn't see that with Mike Pence. I'm just saying,
And you never would. Mike Pence, I was going to say, I don't think Mike knows how to handle a gun, and that was proven when he was out duck hunting, I think.
No, that was Cheney. Cheney.
No. Waltz is Waltz.
No,
was,
Mike Waltz.
Yeah, I'm getting all the.
Yeah, Waltz was a different story.
Yeah, he was.
Waltz was handed a shotgun. He didn't know which end of it to hold. No, sir. You hold the stock goes to your shoulder. You don't put. Otherwise, you're going to have.
I was just checking to see if the barrel was clean. Yeah.
Exactly. But it was interesting for Jay. He's going to Greenland too. case you didn't hear, listen.
Hey guys, it's Shady Vance, the vice president. And there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself. And so I'm going to join her. I'm going to visit some of our guardians in the Space Force on the northwest coast of Greenland and also just check out what's going on with the security there of Greenland. As you know, it's really important. A lot of other countries have threatened Greenland, have threatened to use its territories and its waterways to threaten the United States, to threaten Canada, and of course to threaten the people of Greenland. So we're going to check out how things are going there. And I say that speaking for President Trump, we want to reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland because we think it's important to protecting the security of the entire world. Unfortunately, leaders in both America and in Denmark, I think, ignored Greenland for far too long. That's been bad for Greenland. It's also been bad for the security of the entire world. We think we can take things in a different direction, so I'm going to go check it out.
Okay, so the plan was that his wife, Usha, was supposed to go up to Greenland and do a little tour, and I guess he figured, hey, I'm going to go with you.
Well, there's probably more to that story because I remember when she was going, I think it was the Prime Minister of Denmark. And there was all kinds of blowback on it, and this is terrible. I'm going, she's just going to visit. This is no big thing, but it is a gesture of goodwill. Now, Denmark has done nothing for Greenland. Nothing.
Oh, I know.
The population of 50,000, they're going like, hey, you know what? We need some attention here, and Trump and his administration and the United States is giving it to us. And, they're kind of happy about it. So I think J.D. Vance going, number one, I think it's important, it's diplomatic, but I also think him doing that message was a thumb on the nose, to the left just to rouse them up because they get riled up at everything.
I do think
that we do.
I truly think that it's going to end up being part of our country, Greenland. You may say, what do you mean? Well, from what I understand, the people who live there, and there's not a lot of people in Greenland. I think I heard the figure was 50,000 people. I'm talking about residents, not military troops. They actually want to be a part of the U.S. They want the protection and the benefits of being part of the United States. They're not getting, like Bill said, they're not getting anything from Denmark. Denmark, I mean, they had to be reminded that their ownership is, well, I say ownership. It's not even really ownership. It's they have a relationship with Denmark, and I think that you're going to see that the people of Greenland are going to say we want the U.S. because that big umbrella is a protective umbrella, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's pretty land, and it's strategic. But what would happen if we go in there is all of a sudden a lot of money would come there.
Yep,
and there would be a lot of investments and build up there. It would be an oasis at the last tip of the Americas before you go across the ocean to Europe. So there's a lot of benefits for them and for us strategically. And I can see why China would love to get their hands on it because they would be, they would be on our front porch.
Well, they have. From what I understand, they have a lot of natural resources,
absolutely,
including rare earth, which is something we're always looking for. So,
well, what is their predominant weather there, or has been?
The predominant. You always ask these questions every time I talk to you recently. I feel like I'm
snow and ice there.
I know there's a lot of snow and ice.
Yeah, and under usually places that are kept that way, for whatever reason, there's a lot of trapped things underneath that are good.
He's always asking me tough questions like, and what time is it?
What time is it?
I have to look at my watch. My God,
howdy doody time.
Exactly. Hey, did you hear? During these hearings about this, I know we're kind of jumping around today, but I forgot to mention during the hearings about the quote breach. The security breach with that Signal app and stuff, the Democrats were trying to do everything they could to smear whatever cabinet member they could. Understand something, that Pete Hegseth, even if they made a mistake, it wasn't his mistake, right?
That's right.
But they're trying to remove Hegseth. They didn't want him to be confirmed, and now they want him out. The fact of the matter is, he directed a highly successful campaign in Yemen, and they hate it. So they're trying to muckrake him. I love that word, muckrake, because it sounds exactly like it is. Anyway, they tried to smear his name. Listen to this. It didn't go well for the Democrats.
To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Radcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
No, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to. I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. Do you want an answer?
No, listen.
You don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community.
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here, I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American, right? He stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So, of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. If people were asking if the General Austin was compromised because of a heart issue,
was his performance compromised because of a successful
yield
strike?
Back. Mr. I bring my
you want to know? You want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept responsibility for a successful strike to make Americans safer? You want to focus on.
I am so sick, by the way, of hearing the Democrats reclaim their time. And you know, apparently, the rule is if they say I reclaim my time, you can't talk anymore. You can't finish your thought. You can't give us the answer. And that was happening with they asked the wrong guy. First they asked Tulsi Gabbard, and she says, I don't know the secretary's personal life or personal habits. Good answer. Kind of shut him down. So he moved on to John Radcliffe, and John Radcliffe was not going to have any of this crap. Pardon my French, but it's true. This was nothing more than smearing a good man's name. And was he drinking? He said he had the audacity to say, this is top of the mind of everybody in the country. No, sir. No, sir, it is not top of the mind. Mm-hmm. It is something which you're trying to dig up and to make a story out, an issue out of, so that we can besmirch this good man and this effective defense secretary's reputation. And Radcliffe was going to have none of that. None of that.
Look, you ask a question and I get to answer it. You've yielded your time to me to answer that damn question. So let's just be parliamentary clear on this. Unless you're saying, I'm going to ask this question. It's really a statement. It's a stain, and you can't say anything. Please explain that before so we know the rules, because apparently they shift and blow in the wind.
I yield back my time. It would be like us doing a show like that. You and I do a show where you yield back your time. Jim, what is this? Why yield back my time?
You know, I saw a meme before that the signal thing ever came out.
Yeah.
You know, who'd have thunk? And they had a picture, an old picture of Pete Hegseth, but he was holding a drink. He wasn't drunk in the picture, but they're going, yeah, who'd have thunk when you did this? I'm going like, you know, I bet you every Democrat that is in office, there's a picture of them where they might be a little tipsy and maybe not, but they're holding a drink. Well, let's go ahead. You want to air some dirty laundry? Let's put it out there.
Oh, well, this
room, got a photo of them all.
This room is filled with hypocrites. Trust me. That hearing room is filled with hypocrites, trying to make it sound like they're holier than thou. Oh, was he drinking? Hey, by the way, it is not illegal for an adult to have a beverage. Even if, by the way, he's the Secretary of State, even if he's getting off the airplane in Hawaii after a 5-hour flight, he might have and by the way, unless you drank from his cup, you don't know what was in the cup. It may have been ginger ale. It may have been club soda. You don't know. But you're implying that it was something that was alcoholic.
Yeah, but, they're trying to sit there and cast all this negativity on party members of an opposing party. Well, you know what? There's a story that was out, I think it was in Illinois. Was it yesterday or the day before, where a Democratic congressperson from maybe the state there sat there, was driving along and hit a kid, put him in critical condition. And what did they stop? Did they pull over? No. They sped away, Well, that's a Democrat. That's how they work,
Yeah.
They're better than thou. Look,
rules are
you
for
wanna sit
thee,
there-
but not for me.
Yeah, let's get over yourselves here, because and all these judge things too. I asked you a question earlier, but I'm just asking it just so people understand. This is all a show. That it's a certain kind of show, but when Trump is president, so anything that they throw at him, his defense is paid for by you and me and them. Yeah. Anything that they sit there and they go, well, I got a Democratic judge that's he's done an executive order. This judge pops up. Who pays for it? You. These theatrics have got to stop.
Oh, I know. President Trump had something to say about Jasmine Crockett, one of the Democrats. Yeah, listen. Here's what he said.
She lies, but she's a lowlife. And she's a very low IQ person and a lowlife. And I don't imagine the Democrats are going to have a person like that running their party. If they do, they'll never win an election again. It would be very hard. But I can't imagine she's going to last long.
And what do you think of Governor Gavin Newsom's?
To be smart, you do need a brain. You can't get around with little quips. And I've watched her. I've only heard her for the last couple of days, and I watched her make a speech, and she can't speak. And she truly is a low-level person on the very important chart of intelligence.
Yeah.
And really, it's nice to have intelligent people running your operation.
Yeah, somebody you can talk to, who you can have a good conversation with.
She was a comedian. I couldn't believe she was a congressman or whatever she is. No, I thought she was a comedian.
That's unbelievable.
And she was sort of a little bit funny, but crude. And now I find out she's actually a politician.
That's President Trump with Vince Coglianese, who does the new version of the Dan Bongino show. He's the guy who's taking the place.
I guarantee Jasmine will be out today, countering that with more of her diatribe. But, I look at her as she's gunning to be the next Maxine Waters.
Well, there's something to aim for. Holy smokes.
Yeah, compare the two. They're both idiots. So,
well, she is she's an empty vessel. She has nothing to add to the conversation except venom. And she tried to sell the felonies, Trump's felonies. Anybody who was watching.
What felonies?
Yeah, well, anybody who was paying attention. Let's say he 31 felony convictions. Hey, friends, if you were paying attention, really paying attention, you would know that was lawfare, plain and simple. And
they're gone.
Yeah, but she'll never admit to anything like that. She will constantly throw them out like it's a badge of dishonor.
Well, they may have been taken away, but the Democrats want to keep throwing it out there because they want to reinstate them in your mind.
I'm not sure whether they were taken away, Bill.
Well, some were. They were either way.
Kash Patel was he was testifying yesterday too. They're doing their best every time a Trump administration person testifies. And he was testifying about the Signal case, and listen, a Democrat wanted to find out why he didn't have an opinion on a lawsuit that was only filed, I guess, yesterday. Listen.
Another day has passed.
Actually, it was the night before the hearing.
Now that another day has passed, do you believe that it's now time potentially for the FBI to open an investigation into this?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Because you're the director of the FBI, you don't believe it's appropriate to comment on that?
Because there's a process in place, there's an ongoing litigation, and the National Security Council is reviewing this matter. And I'm not going to discuss any open or closed investigation.
That ongoing investigation, literally, the lawsuit happened today or yesterday afternoon, and the idea that you don't have an opinion on this at this point is frustrating to me.
No, it's not. I'm not going to prejudge any matters, and the men and women of the FBI will call the balls and strike.
Reclaiming my time,
not
sir.
you.
Sir, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have...
Gentleman's recognized. You have
Thank
4
you.
seconds remaining.
No, I have more than
You
that.
have 2
because
seconds
Mr.
remaining.
Patel would not add...
Gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Stubbe.
I
Thank you,
love
Mr.
that.
Chairman. Director-
I love that. That's amazing. The gentleman's time is, and you have 4 seconds. You have 2 seconds. Your time is up. She was trying desperately to create a scene with Kash Patel. By the way, Kash Patel could not have answered that question any more perfectly, because even if the case was filed an hour before that hearing, I mean, he's not supposed to be talking about his feelings about any kind of litigation. He's the head of the FBI. He's supposed to be neutral. It's not supposed to be his job to go in front of a hearing and talk about what he really thinks about a case. And yet she was bound and determined to get some kind of personal opinion from this guy. Oh, that case was filed yesterday or the day before, and you're telling me that you haven't got an opinion right now? I find that hard to believe. Well, you can find it whatever you want, ma'am, but if I have an opinion, you're not going to find out about it in this public setting.
Mm-hmm.
So straighten it out. But see, there's a desperation. You'll notice that when they're not getting the answers they want, the very thing they jump on, and you heard it with the other representative, is, I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time. I don't want to hear your answer. I don't want to hear your answer is what they're saying. You know, shut up. You're saying something I don't want the public to hear. Shut up. That's how they approach every witness who gives them the answer they don't want.
Yeah, they love to throw a lot of mud around, and they like to do that. And but you know, again, like you said, what's good for thee is not good for me. You know, so
well, it is. I don't know whether the Democrats are going to be able to recover for the midterm. I just don't think they have the time anymore. I think that people say, well, we still got a year and a half, but man, I don't see any course correction on their part. They're just going, if it were a nosedive, you would think they would pull back on the yoke. But instead, the Democrats are doubling down and pushing forward. Like they want to crash this thing as fast as possible.
Yeah, but they would tell you how great they're flying. I mean, you got AOC that was sitting there. Now there was that in Pennsylvania, where there was that squeaker, where they captured her seat, you know, and I kind of question it too, because it was a place that Trump won just months ago
by 15 points, Bill. Yeah, by 15 points.
And all of a sudden somebody just squeaks by, through a fluke here, and I'm going like, sure. And the AOC, it's the beginning of the flip, and I'm sitting there going, well, what you might be witnessing is them getting away with their steal again, because it's the very place they were trying to steal anyway. And I'm sitting there going, with the midterms coming up, they're still probably trying to do that. I mentioned that Trump is, earlier. Well, the taint is out there, but, on those felony convictions, he was considered immune, and there's nothing they can do about that unless, of course, they get back in power. Then they'll come back and find a way to legally get a judge to inject, to go after things that, were proven to be lawfare, but Democrats will say, no. It's all a game.
It is a game. And unfortunately, we have to watch how the Democrats are playing that game right now. And listen, I grew up in a Democratic family. This is not the Democratic family that I grew up in when I was a kid. This is not the Democratic Party that that they were a part of. As a matter of fact, when I was a young adult, there was no question as to what my loyalty was. I was a Democrat. And I was a Democrat because at the time the Democratic Party was respectable and honorable, or at least it presented itself as being respectable and honorable. And they played by a certain set of respectable rules. Well, they've thrown those rules out. Those rules are gone now. Thank God for Ronald Reagan in my case, because I, like him, they asked him, why did you become a Republican? He said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. It left me. And I think that's a perfect answer. That's exactly how a lot of us feel.
And it's happening again. And, it just happened to be that the party is so big and so deeply rooted. Reagan got a lot of people to open their eyes, but that still didn't mean that the beast wasn't big. And, Trump is getting a lot of people to open their eyes. But how big and deep is that, how big is that beast?
Well, I keep thinking, I talked about this a couple of days ago on our show. I don't know how they're going to win another presidency anytime soon, because all the Republicans have to remind the American people of is what the Biden administration did to our country, how they opened the border and let millions of strangers into our country. You could do a commercial about the victims, just the victims of that irresponsible act. The Laken Rileys and the like, who died unnecessarily because this party didn't do the responsible thing. I'm talking about the Democrats. It didn't protect our sovereignty and our borders. It just let everybody in. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about everybody, good and bad. People say, well, I see good families come through with their kids, and all they want is the American dream. God bless them. By the way, there's a process for those people to come into this country. They have a process that we set up. Good. My family went through the process, and most American people's family, we're a country of immigrants, essentially. Our families came from other places to make this country. Most of us, our family did it the right way. Came through Ellis Island or places like that, and they did the process. The people that Biden let in, they swarmed the border. They, in some cases, cut through fencing and illegally entered our country. It would be like you invite somebody over for dinner, and instead of them coming through the front door, they break into the basement window. That's what they've done. And now, by the way, as well-meaning as President Trump is, and I think he is well-meaning, but I think that there's a lot of illegals who are going to end up staying here, whether we want them here or not. At some point, they're going to say, well, you can only move so many of these people out, and we've been concentrating on the bad guys. So the other illegals, well, we're stuck with them. And that's what's going to happen, by the way, if we get another Democrat in there. They're going to open the border again, because that's part of what they want to do. That's not just a Joe Biden thing. I don't think Joe Biden really had anything to do with it.
No, I don't think so either. He didn't even know what was going on. But they had a reasonable facsimile of his signature, put it into AutoPen, and away they go.
Yeah, he's on record many times in his 10 years as senator of saying things like, "We need secure borders." He said it. It's not like he thought it or he said it in private. He said it on the Senate floor. He believed in closed, protected borders for most of his life. And then someone came along and said, you want to be president? Just follow us and keep your mouth shut. And if we're doing something, say you believe in it. That's essentially what he did. He, you see him strolling out to the helicopter at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to go to Delaware. Do you see that with Trump, really? No. What you see with Trump is a guy who's there until 8 o'clock in the evening, working in the Oval Office, talking to his staff, working diligently. The guy, they say, I don't know how he does this. They say he only runs on like 5 hours a night sleep all the time.
Sometimes I can hear it in his speech because, I know you don't get a lot of sleep. A lot of times I don't get a lot of sleep. And, doesn't mean your mind stops working, doesn't mean your body stops working. Well, sometimes I take a nap in the chair, but either way, what I'll hear it in is like, for me, it's in the voice. Like now, it's ripe and early, so it's fine. I do hear in Trump, where I can tell he's a little more tired because he's always talking. And, you might go, well, he doesn't sound as robust as he has. If you're talking all day from get up, let's say 4 or 5 a.m. until you go to bed, and let's just say that's 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, you don't have a lot of sleep you're operating on, because he's always been that way. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he just keeps going and going and going. And you know what? He's a hands-on guy. Whether you like him or not, he's a hands-on guy. And he probably is mad at himself going, there's not enough me and not enough hours in the day for me to do everything that I want to do. I bet you, if you asked him that, he would agree.
Speaking of hands-on, now would be a perfect time to get your hands on some Right Side coffee. That's right.
Nice segue.
You like that? Jim and Bill's Right Side coffee. You say, where do I find that? I have never seen it in the store, Jim. I look around. I don't see it. I see other brands. But
You don't?
No. There's a reason for that. There's only one place you can get it, and that's in the rightsideshop.com gift shop. The rightsideshop.com gift shop. That's online. You'll find that if you go there, you see baseball caps, sweatshirts, T-shirts, mugs, glasses, whatever. And you'll also see Jim and Bill's Right Side coffee, medium roast, plain, and decaf. It's a delicious blend of coffee. You'll love it. You got to try it. Listen, by the way, we don't make a lot of money. We make a percentage of the profits. A little tiny bit comes to us so we can promote the show. And every little bit helps. But we don't, when you go to our website, which is it'sanotherday.com. I had to think about it for a
Easy
second.
for you to say, yeah.
It is. It'sanotherday.com. You won't see like a Patreon button on our page. Patreon's good for a lot of people. I'm not saying that we won't always. Maybe someday we'll have to do it, but right now we don't need to do it. Patreon is essentially saying, hey, help us out. We need money, and there's no gift back in return other than that you're doing a good thing. We figure at this point the gift shop is a better idea for us because, you're helping us out, essentially, but you're getting something in return. And in the case of Jim and Bill's Right Side coffee, you're getting a delicious blend of the finest coffee beans. You'll love it. It's a great way to start your day. Plus,
he really talks about this coffee. He talks from experience.
Well, you know why, Bill?
You got a case of it. Yeah, I know. No, you didn't slurp the coffee right. When you slurp the coffee, you got to...
Only problem is your processing quiets it out, so we can't hear it.
Oh, well...
We can't hear your slurp, but trust me, I can hear his slurp, and he's slurping. So
yeah.
It's a great cup of coffee. You got to try it. And by the way, we're the only coffee company in the world that flies in. Well, we didn't really fly in Juan Jose and the Border Crossers. Actually, we sent them an inflatable, and they paddled across the Rio and then cut through some barbed wiring. But it's a process you don't need to hear about. Use your imagination. They're here now, and they're singing our jingle.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
Yes, they do that so well. And again, like we've said, they've had a lot of practice now. They've been doing it for months.
Yeah. They might get their green card if they keep doing this. You never know.
I don't know about that. You're asking
we
a
hope
lot.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. I love to go in there. I like to tease them, I'll walk in if they're,
Well, Holman was coming to get him, but
Well,
they
I-
gave him
I just
a cup
walk
of
in and go,
coffee, and he liked it. And he goes, I'll be back.
I like saying ice just to see them scatter. It's really a lot of fun.
Oh, they run.
They do.
They
Anyway,
trip on the way on. It's really amazing.
It
yeah.
really is.
Right Side Coffee. Get it today. Go to rightsideshop.com or get it at our website.
Trump was asked about Ashley Babbitt. I don't know if you heard about it. He was asked about Ashley Babbitt yesterday. Listen.
About Ashley Babbitt. It was a bad shooting. My father can tell you that. Anybody.
It's a terrible thing.
I don't know if you know this, but the Department of Justice right now is still kind of fighting that case. The family of Ashley Babbitt is suing the government, wrongful death. The DOJ right now officially is still opposing that lawsuit, trying to justify it. Shouldn't that be something that can just be settled at this point?
Well, I'll look into that. I mean, you're just telling me that for the first time. I haven't heard that. I'm a big fan of Ashley Babbitt, okay? And Ashley Babbitt was a really good person who was a big MAGA fan, Trump fan, and she was innocently standing there. They even say trying to sort of hold back the crowd. And a man did something to her that was unthinkable when he shot her. And I think it's a disgrace. I'm going to look into that. I did not know that, no.
And the officer who shot her, Michael Byrd, is still on duty. They gave him a raise, and they gave him a medal, and I believe a promotion.
I think it's a disgrace.
He's a federal employee. Would you or could you do something
I'm
like
going to
that?
take a look at it. I'm going to look at that, too. His reputation was, I won't even say, let's find out about his reputation, okay? We're going to find out. But I watched that, and I saw that. And by the way, she was killed, but nobody else was killed. And, the people that went down there, they had no guns. They didn't have guns. There was something to do with the FBI. There was something to do with Antifa and others, and it wasn't mentioned. And there's never been a group of people, I think, with the exception of maybe over the years, a couple of groups were treated pretty harshly, but essentially never treated so badly. And as you know, I let them out with pardons. I know you were very happy. I watch your show all the time. You were extremely happy about it. And plenty of other people were too. People don't realize this whole movement that we have is just it's a very inspiring thing, what's happened to our country. These people are incredible people. They were treated so unfairly, so horribly. Some of them didn't even go into the building. And the judges, the system, the hatred, the vitriol, the prosecutors, the way they wanted to destroy these people would go in and they'd be so proud to go before court, and they'd have a good lawyer, and they'd walk out of court like devastated the way they were treated, devastated, given years in prison. No, but I took care of them. I said I was going to, and I did.
It's President Trump talking with Greg Kelly on Newsmax about Ashley Babbitt. Poor girl didn't do anything wrong. If you watch the video, and I've seen it, they try to make it sound like she was scaling the walls. She wasn't. If anything, she was trying to get people to back off and not to do anything wrong. They were at a door in the building at the Capitol. Mm-hmm. The door was locked, and they were protesting the people at the door, but it really wasn't her. If you look at the video, she was standing where the camera was. She was standing on the opposite side of the crowd against the wall, and this guy Michael Byrd came out of nowhere. Actually, he took aim. There was no threat. There was no get away holding the door. He just took aim and shot. I don't understand, by the way, why he didn't warn them. He just shot. And
I think it was planned. It was rehearsed. I think she was just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. She did nothing wrong. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been anybody standing in that spot.
I think you're right. I think it was a statement on the part of the left.
Exactly.
And think about it. They rewarded this guy by giving him a raise and a promotion. I think he was a lieutenant then. They made him a captain or something like that. He's still working in the Capitol like nothing ever happened. And it's sad. Think about it for a second. I know it's hard to put yourself in that family's shoes, but imagine if your daughter goes off to Washington to be a part of this because she believes in a cause. And nothing's going to happen. There'll be millions of people there, but then that's not really the case. Something does happen. And out of nowhere, she's taken from you in a flash. That's what happened to Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah. Now, I guarantee that police officer, because this news story's out there now, and Trump even said, well, we'll look into his background and that was smart, because if he would have said something and there was one iota of something being wrong, there'd be a lawsuit all over the place. So he did the smart thing there. We'll look into it. But now this guy is on notice. So the Democratic machine will jump to his rescue because they have to, because my opinion is that he was there to do a job, and Ashley happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, did nothing wrong, as everything shows that she did nothing wrong.
Yeah, Ashley Babbitt, her life being taken like that was probably, like you say, a statement on the part of the left. But, they don't talk about, even the president doesn't, I think, realize that there was another person who was trampled to death outside. I guess there's a little tunnel area, and she was stomped on by by police. They don't talk about that. And she was another person who was a MAGA supporter. I can't think of her name. Oh, gosh, it'll come to me later on. I should know it off the top of my head, but I don't. But they try to sell the idea that 5 or 6 Capitol Police died over the course of the demonstration. That's not the case, folks. They said that someone, I guess, committed suicide, or another person died the next day or 5 days later. The people that they're pointing to all had either pre-existing conditions, or it was not something which was related to the demonstration.
Well, suicide is a mental health condition, and, for whatever reason they were, but that should have been caught. That person should have not been there with that kind of condition. You had an officer, I think, that died from, he was overweight, out of shape, died of a heart attack. Well, again, that's a bad statement on, the department he worked for, is that you want your law enforcement people to be in good, sound physical and mental shape. But then again, they knew what they were there to do, so that kind of makes me question them, too. And
why would the Capitol Police unlock the doors and open them up and stand aside and let people in, almost wave them in? Nobody talks about that, but yet we have that on video. Why would the Capitol Police escort people into other areas of the Capitol? There's a shot of demonstrators coming through a room being escorted by Capitol Police, and they try to open a door and it's locked, and they have the wrong set of keys, so they turn them around and walk them to another place. But that's ignored by the media. They try to make a mountain out of a molehill. They try to ignore the fact, and it's a proven fact, that Trump offered Nancy Pelosi over 10,000 troops to protect the building. And
they don't talk about that, do they?
Nope. She just, they ignore it. Now, she knows she was offered it. She denied it, by the way, in public. But we have video of her in, I think, the garage, talking with her daughter.
Caught it.
Yeah, her daughter was videotaping her, and her daughter caught her saying, "Well, it was my fault. I should have taken the offer of the National Guards. I could have done that, and I didn't do it." Then she realized, "Oh, I can't say that in public. I got to sound like I knew what I was doing. I have to sound like it was never offered." And she tried to lie her way out of it.
Well, what kind of court is it that you go to when there's nothing but charges and witnesses against you, and you get to put up no defense? Kangaroo court?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the January 6th committee is that way. And it turns out before there was ever the committee and everything going on, or the January 6th event, Schumer and Pelosi and various people got together.
Yeah.
And apparently this is where they concocted January 6th and how they were going to do this setup. The dialogue in the video of Trump was, at a rally that was blocks away, and he sat there and said, "Now go peacefully."
And patriotically. Peacefully and patriotically.
So, but that was never played in the narratives, and there were actors in there. That's been proven that you had, FBI actors or people that were from the FBI.
They were plants.
They were plants, and in there doing their, they were like they were in a play. Well, we're the protesters. Come on, let's go. And I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry. Now, if you're going, Bill, you're making this stuff up. Well, you know what? I go back to just about a week ago when everything came out about, the Kennedy files. And all of a sudden, we find out there's a state within a state, which has always been, that's conspiracy. Oh, it's not conspiracy.
You'll notice, by the way, that the Kennedy information has just faded by the wayside.
Oh, yeah.
They've kind of like, okay, fine. We don't want to talk about that anymore, so let's move on.
Especially when the video comes out of the driver reaching over and with a gun.
Yeah.
Apparently a gun, shooting over his right shoulder with, I think, his left hand.
Yes.
Taking a shot at Kennedy. And I'm like going, And the driver is a CIA agent?
No, he's a Secret Service agent, yeah.
Secret agent, yeah. So...
Yeah, people are now going, what's he talking about? There's video. Yeah. Bill and I have both seen it. And it's actually kind of obvious if you know what to look for. You can see it in the Zapruder film. But the driver takes a weapon and shoots over his right shoulder the second shot at Kennedy. That's what you see in the video.
The kill shot, yeah, and they explain what kind of bullet was used. And I'm sitting there going, and that explains why... when Kennedy was shot, it just, as I recall, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that Lyndon B. Johnson was standing by just ready to get on, Air Force One and fly in to take over right away. He was in the right place at the right time, just kind of hanging around.
And he was not terribly emotional. He was not. He was kind of...
And what state is he from?
Texas.
And where did Kennedy get
Dallas
shot?
is in Texas, yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm just asking,
Yeah, people are wondering what we're talking about. There's more to the story than meets the eye.
There's way more.
And we were lied to back then. And what amazes me is there's a certain element in our government, even today, who would prefer us not to know the truth. Even though it was 60 years ago. They would prefer that. That's not very good for the cause. So let's just keep that a secret. If you realize that we were lying to you back then, what else did we lie to you about? It may open up a can of worms. So let's kind of keep that squirreled away. Maybe we can get the media to not really question what happened and to move on. And that's what they've done dutifully because they do that. They work for the left. And they don't really question and act like a responsible news media. There was a time they would have been all over this story. The Kennedy assassination info would have been every night they would have had some kind of a story about what they found because it's 87,000 pages. So there's a lot of info in there. And if they had their staff going through it every day, it would take a while for them to find stuff and then put the video together to make it work on television.
Well, it took a while for this to come out, but there's stuff there. But it's being talked about. But the mainstream media is going, you don't want to talk about this because this might get people to understand what's really going on. The other thing that is lurking out there, and I know that there's a lot of stuff redacted, are the Epstein files.
Yeah, well...
when is that going to drop on us?
Yeah, well, they're doing their best to keep that buttoned up.
Yeah, because you know what? A lot of people are going to have to shut up, when that happens.
A lot of people are going to have to explain what they were doing on that airplane.
Yeah, I mean, basically, literally getting caught with your pants down.
Yeah.
We need to come out with it because, talk about a gotcha moment. That would be...
yeah,
gotcha.
There's a lot of things they would prefer not to talk about, and we have. I don't know, Bill. I would have thought the Kennedy information would have been. Everybody would be talking about it, even now. And like you said, it's only a week old. It's a week. But then again, this Trump administration has only been in power in office for about 2 months and maybe a week or two. I mean, it's not a long time.
Yeah, we're not even 90 days yet. It's coming up, but it's not 90 days yet. And the Democrats are talking about 2 years from now and 4 years down the road because they don't want this guy to do what he's going to do. They want to get beyond this. They're trying to still back. And you got to keep your eye on the ball like they're keeping on the ball. In 2 years, the midterms, you think it was nasty going into this last election. You just wait until you see what hits the fan now.
Well, today is, Thursday? Getting toward the end of the week. Should be some interesting news. I'd like to also know what was the real story behind Butler, PA. Some recent history. What was this Thomas Matthew Crooks all about? Why would a 20-year-old kid from Bethel Park, PA, have 3 offshore accounts? One in New Zealand, one in Germany, one in Belgium. Why would he have this? Why
don't
would he
have
have money in separate accounts around the world? You know,
You don't have that?
What was his affiliation with BlackRock? You're saying, well, what do you mean? Well, he was in a commercial that was shot in Bethel Park, PA, for BlackRock. I'll never understand why a company, an advertising agency, decided, okay, let's go out to Bethel Park, PA, which is like 8 hours from New York, out suburban Pittsburgh, and shoot a commercial for BlackRock. It doesn't make any sense.
He had a mathematics teacher that was partly responsible for some of that BlackRock stuff, and but nobody talks about him because he kind of showed up there and then he left.
We don't really know about him. He disappeared.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, but nobody asked any questions.
No, they didn't. But, is the family in the house anymore? Was there a history of the family in that house beforehand?
Hey, why did they have any silverware in that house?
Oh, they ordered out all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they Ubered everything.
You're saying what? They did an inspection of the house. They found no cutlery. I know. Hey, what's wrong with that? Well, I mean, even I have cutlery in my house. But there's a lot of questions about the shooting. To this day, they didn't answer why the recording of the assassination attempt, they had muffled reports. That's the sound of a rifle that seemed to be a greater distance away. And they had another rifle sound that sounded like it was closer. And these aren't the rifles that were the snipers. These were before the sniper rifles were fired. And they don't question that. It is that. And now my question is, we have a new head of the Secret Service. He's the guy who was the lead Secret Service agent on that day, the 13th of July. You would think that he would be all over it right now. He's sitting in the driver's seat, yet it's quiet as a country church on a Wednesday. It's like, holy smokes. We're going to find out, I hope, in the not too distant. Somebody's got to start making this thing move. I mean, Kash Patel, before he was the FBI director, every time he got a chance to get in front of a TV camera, he was incendiary. He was always talking about what he was going to do and what should happen, and it was great to listen to him because he sounded like a go-getter. He sounded like a champion of the people. But yet, right now, he's a little quiet. We're expecting more from these Pam Bondi. She's the Attorney General now. Pam, come on. Do something that makes us go, hey, that's the right person.
When you're on the outside of the fence, wanting to get inside, you can say and tout whatever you want. But now when you're in the inside, it doesn't mean that they're not doing anything. But now they've got to walk in a certain manner because you're in the middle of the shooting field there. So, I think he's working. I know Trump's working, but Trump is probably not moving as fast as he'd like to. And just like on the Ashley Babbitt thing, he was going, well, you know what? I'm going to look into that. I didn't know certain things because there is so much corruption going on. There is you when you walk into a big wire's nest or hornet's nest, whatever it is, this mess, you don't realize how big it is, even though you said it was humongous. It's bigger and worse than what you could have ever imagined. And so you've got to walk gingerly forward and make sure that every move you make is a precision move.
And you don't know who to trust. You don't know who to trust. What carryovers can you trust? There are certain people who go from administration to administration because it's their jobs. And I wouldn't trust anybody. I don't know how Kash Patel can go into the FBI and trust anybody. They're all going to be looking at him like he's a troublemaker.
That's why I used to always have, when I went into a new place in a management role, I had the grenade theory. Because we were the big guys coming in. You guys were failing, obviously. We came in to take over. My big thing was everybody gets an interview. But basically, it's your exit interview or your stay interview. You choose, but your job is on the line right now. And, the grenade theory, you blow it all up. And, some of the people stay, some don't. And that makes you a bad guy, but so what? at least you can move forward knowing the people you got are on the same page as you. And that's kind of what you got going on with this government, is like, now Trump has tried to do that grenade theory, and so has Elon Musk, and you know what, we're going to get rid of everybody. You got these judges.
You can only get rid of so many people. You can't, in the case of the federal government, you can't use the grenade theory. You can't fire everybody and then start anew because you'd have nobody to work with.
But you can get rid of a lot of people. But, then these judges pop up out of the weeds. Oh, you can't fire those people. Well, they're not necessary. You can't fire them. Why?
Because I said so, and I wear a glove. Yeah. I wear a robe.
A glove, too, yeah.
That's true.
They got the OJ syndrome.
That's true. I was looking at the clock and distracted. Hey, listen. That is about it. I'm looking at the clock on the wall. We're done. It's been an interesting program. There'll be a lot of new news tomorrow. My apologies again for the allergies, maybe a little stuffy, but I do believe that when I'm this way, there's millions of you like that too. So we're all getting through this. It's the springtime, and these things happen. Join us again tomorrow to find out how stuffy I am tomorrow. It'll be like an ongoing saga.
As the nose runs.
Yes. Brought to you by Nasal Spray.
There you go.
Are we finished, sir? Do we have anything more to add for this program? Or
I got another page, but I think we'll save all that stuff until tomorrow. So until then, hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
This is CRN America.